Foreign Minister Elmar Mamedjarov says Azerbaijan is ready to start serious talks to prepare a draft peace agreement on Nagorno-Karabakh conflict settlement. 23 years passed since the occupation of Garadaglı village of Azerbaijan's Hojavand district by Armenian armed forces. World-known ICT company seeks to set up its regional center in Azerbaijan, acknowledging the country's high potential for ICT development. "23 years have passed since the occupation of Garadaglı village of Azerbaijan's Hojavand district by the Armenian armed forces. Armenian armed units, supported by the military hardware and manpower of the 366th Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces deployed in Hankandi, launched an attack on Azerbaijan's Garadaglı village on February 15, 1992. After two-day fierce battles, Armenians eventually broke the siege and occupied the village on February 17. The village underwent complete destruction during the occupation. Innocent, unarmed people, including women and children, were murdered brutally, tortured and taken hostages. Nearly 80 of 117 villagers taken hostage from Garadaglı were killed with utmost cruelty and 6 went missing. According to eyewitnesses, 9 people were taken hostage. Some witnesses said the Armenians shot 43 Azerbaijani hostages to death in an area 2 kilometers away from Hankandi, and some were decapitated. Garadaglı village remains under Armenian occupation.
U.S. very much values over 20 years of partnership with Azerbaijan, and we want to see the strongest, most democratic and independent Azerbaijan as possible, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland told reporters in Baku. As part of her visit, she met with senior government officials to work to strengthen bilateral relations on trade and investment, energy diversification, security and counterterrorism, democracy and civil society.
We obviously talked about the work we're doing together in Afghanistan, in Kosovo, on countering terrorism, on countering violent extremism. We also have a large contingent from the U.S. Defense Department with us, one-star general from EUCOM, our Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for this region, and we talked about how we can do more together to train and strengthen Azerbaijan's peacekeeping forces. There's a new defense minister who we're working well with.
She also expressed concern by the escalation seen over the last 6 months on the line of contact. Our message to Armenia and Azerbaijan is that the escalation should be stopped and the sides sit at a common table, Victoria Nuland said.
We want to see the violence end. We want to see the parties back at the table. We want to support that process through the Minsk process. With regard to the prisoners, they should be, we believe, returned to Azerbaijan as a humanitarian gesture.
Nuland also said she also discussed the diversification of Azerbaijan's economy as well as the fight against corruption with the president.
We also talked today about the importance of diversifying the economy of Azerbaijan, something that the president is very intent on, particularly in working more intensively on the IT sector, on the transportation sector, on the agriculture sector. And the president spoke today about his personal commitment to countering corruption. Corruption is a democracy killer. Corruption deters foreign investment. We are working on countering corruption with countries across the region, across Europe, in the Balkans, and we agreed today that we would intensify that cooperation bilaterally in the interest of a strong, democratic, clean Azerbaijan where all the people can benefit as the country goes forward.
Touching upon the cooperation in the sphere of energy, Nuland said the Southern Gas Corridor is important not just for Azerbaijan, but also for all the countries in Europe which are too dependent on a single source of energy.
As you know, the Baku-Ceyhan project was our first project together, and now we're moving on to strengthen and bring to life the Southern Corridor, which is important not just for for Azerbaijan, but also for all the countries of Europe who are too dependent on a single source of energy. So this is a joint project, US project, Azerbaijan project, European project, and we are very much eager to continue to stay in lockstep with you and with the European Commission and with all of the states who will benefit from Southern Corridor.
The U.S. has supported the Southern Gas Corridor, which is aimed at delivering gas from Azerbaijan's Shah Deniz gas and condensate field to Europe. The Southern Gas Corridor is one of the priority energy projects for the EU. The project is aimed at diversification of routes and sources of energy supply and thereby increase EU's energy security. Bakhtiar Hasanov, Ruslan Jafarov, CBC.
Azerbaijan is ready to start serious negotiations to prepare the draft peace agreement on the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict settlement. Azerbaijan Foreign Minister Elmar Mammadiyarov was saying at a meeting with the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairman who arrived in Baku to discuss the settlement of the conflict. While speaking about the ceasefire violation, Mammadiyarov said that first of all, in accordance with the requirements of the international law and 4 UN Security Council resolutions, the co-chairman must urge Armenia to liberate the occupied territories of Azerbaijan. The withdrawal of Armenian armed forces from the occupied territories will be an important action to resolve the conflict and to build trust between the sides, he said. Mammadiyarov stressed the need to start serious negotiations on the draft peace agreement. Azerbaijan is ready for these negotiations, Mammadiyarov concluded. Co-chairs have also met with the Azerbaijani Defense Minister Zakir Hasanov. The latter told the guests his opinions about regional situation, Armenia's existing occupation of Azerbaijani lands, problems of refugees and IDPs, as well as international organizations' unsuccessful efforts to help find a resolution of the conflict. Finally, co-chairs have been received by the President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, where parties had exchange of views. The resolution process of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan is becoming more actual, requiring more involvement of the world's influential organizations amid the recent Armenia-triggered skirmishes on the contact line and border of the two neighboring countries. Despite regular statements on unacceptability of the status quo and the conflict, the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs has failed to contribute to the solution of protracted problem. Furthermore, the organization lacks an action plan or means to impact to achieve solution to the conflict, which frequently gives birth to the ideas about replacing it with more effective format.
Armenia has reportedly pulled out of the protocols on normalizing its relations with Turkey. President Serge Sargsyan's press service was quoted as saying that the documents, which were signed 6 years ago, have not yielded any result. Meanwhile, the majority in the Armenian parliament is set to be in favor of removing the protocols with Turkey from the legislature's agenda and freezing the issue. The MPs disagree with linking the ratification of the protocols to the process of settling the Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. The Zurich protocols were signed by the Armenian and Turkish governments in October 2009 in a bid to normalize bilateral relations and try to establish diplomatic ties. Turkey and Armenia have no diplomatic relations, and the border between the two countries has been closed since 1993, when the Armenians invaded the Kalbajar region of Azerbaijan, which is still under occupation. The tensions are due to the Armenian claims for international recognition of the alleged World War I-era genocide in the Ottoman Empire and the occupation of the territories of Azerbaijan, Turkey's long-standing ally. Despite Ankara's proposals, Armenia has repeatedly refused to study the issue of the alleged genocide with the help of historians. Armenia is also failing to make an effort to resolve its long-lasting conflict with neighboring Azerbaijan, taking a non-constructive stance in peace talks. Ankara, for its part, has repeatedly made clear that it could fully normalize ties with Yerevan only after the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has been settled, more precisely, after Armenian armed forces pull out of the Azerbaijani territories, which have been under the occupation for more than 2 decades.
People who participated in the war crime of Khojaly occupy high positions in the Armenian government, says Denis Jav's article published by the Hill newspaper. Jaff wrote that Armenian propaganda tried to clumsily whitewash the Nagorno-Karabakh war. Armenia conducted the largest human rights abuses in the entire post-Soviet history, such as the war crime of Khojaly, where in one night over 600 Azerbaijanis, Kurds and Meshchedi Turks were brutally massacred, and the people who participated on the Armenian side are now the president and the defense minister of that country. Azerbaijan received about $1 billion aid since 1992, whilst Armenia received almost $3 billion in the same time. To demonstrate the fever, Armenia tallied in as 2% more anti-Semitic than Iran. It's hard to take seriously Armenian apologists trying to talk about human rights and democracy in Azerbaijan when they have such incidents taking place in their own backyard. It's truly dystopian to accuse Azerbaijan with a straight face of blatant disregard to international law for shooting down an Armenian military helicopter with 3 uniformed Armenian soldiers that was illegally conducting drills and maneuvers deep inside the Azerbaijani airspace in the Armenia-occupied Aghdam region of Azerbaijan, which is not even part of the Armenia-occupied Nagorno-Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. All Armenia needs to do is remove its military from Azerbaijan, and peace will immediately follow, together with improved democratic climate and stronger human rights protection for all, said Denis Jaff. The Azerbaijan-based Information Center has published gratifying assessment of IT prospects of Baku made by international experts. According to the center, Cisco Vice President for Russia CIS Jonathan Sparrow stated that Baku can become a regional center for innovation, including in the field of comprehensive internet. Azerbaijan pays great attention to innovative technologies and their introduction in order to facilitate the lives of its citizens. If Azerbaijan will focus on the introduction of modern technologies, the country has a great chance to continue rapid development not only thanks to natural resources, Mr. Sparrow said. He pointed out that Barcelona has recently received the award of EU as the capital of innovations, and it's hoped that Baku too will receive the award in its region. If to keep in mind that the goal of the city is to provide citizens with the best conditions for life, and if to set correct, far-reaching goals, not just build good infrastructure and create business models, then it's quite achievable, Mr. Sparrow added. He said that Cisco is currently working with the Azerbaijan's network of centers for simplified access to public services, Asan Khidmat. The company also supports a project of first European Games to be held in Baku this year. We are impressed that actively developing innovation center is operating in Asan. Concept of smart and safe city provides a platform for creation of fresh business models, technologies, applications, and potential in this area may be no less than in the global market of mobile applications. At that, products that can be created in Baku today in a certain period of time can enter into markets of India, the USA, and the countries of Europe. Export of such technologies abroad is quite easy, and it quickly sells, Mr. Sparrow underlined.